Hello everyone, this is Godzilla of One, and today I'll be giving my thoughts on the 2017 Power Rangers Megazord. You know, the one from the new movie. Now, before we start, I know this is a very divisive subject. I know people have a lot of different opinions on this. So beforehand, I'm going to say this. If you have a different opinion than me, that's perfectly fine. You're welcome to your opinion. Just acknowledge the fact I have an opinion I'm welcome to, and I'll acknowledge that you have one you're welcome to. If you act like a jerk because I don't have the same opinion as you, you're acting like a jerk because I don't have the same opinion as you. Anyway, let's get on to the subject at hand. Now, this first picture I think is where a lot of the hate for this design comes from. Some of the hate I can definitely see, but I feel a lot of it came from this picture coming first, because I know quite a few people that's opinion changed between this picture and the second picture. And the reason is, I think that this is just a prototype, because the gray plastic on it is very much that prototype gray. If you know what I mean, just look up any prototype toy. Now, granted, this one's painted, which they normally aren't, but that gray does look very much like the prototype gray that they use on prototype toys. Maybe not, I'm not sure, but either way, I think this is one of the 6-inch action figures. I think it's one of those 6-inch Megazords that is released at, Walmart or something for like $15 that goes with the monster figures they've been releasing. By the way, Bandai, good on you there. I appreciate that. But I think that is what made this design a little more divisive than it really could have been. I think if the second picture had been released first, there wouldn't be as much of a divide. Oh, there'd still be a divide. I can see why this design divides people on this subject. But I think if the second picture had come first, it wouldn't have been as divisive. Now, my first thoughts on this design is it does look very much like a guy in a suit. And I don't think that's what it's going to look like in the movie. I think in the movie it will probably look a bit more armored and powerful looking. But it does make me think of a knight, which I do kind of like. That kind of works because the original Megazord did have this sort of warrior Viking kind of aesthetic. At least it always made me think of a Viking. But I think in a sense that works, and I do love mecha with wings. But here's the thing, this is not painted as well as the final version. The second picture we got is much better painted than the prototype image. You can actually see which part makes up which piece, and you can also see a lot more details that are more similar to the original. Like, in this one, you can't really tell that the chest is supposed to be primarily red. In the second one, you can. And that makes it look more like the original Megazord, because the original Megazord had the primarily red chest with the silver in the center. This one has a bit more silver, but it has enough that I can tell that that's what they're going for. Also, the right leg, is that right leg? No, left leg, sorry, is the Triceratops, just like it is with the original. Though, here's another weird thing. In the prototype image, or I'm calling it a prototype, it might just be the little action figure, both of the legs are painted blue. But in the final version we have over here, it's clear that one is the Triceratops, the other is the Mammoth, or Mastodon. So, I don't know what that is, but it probably confused people more than it should have. But yeah, basically the Mastodon's forming the leg this time. But yeah, the Triceratops is still forming the leg. As you can tell, the Mammoth's head, I believe this is the Mammoth's head, anyway, from the pictures we got before of the bits of the Zord, it does look like it's a shield. Like, it looks like it's an arm shield, or maybe a blaster of some sort. I personally think it's a shield, but even then, the original did have combat capabilities because it shoot ice. So if it's a blaster, not really that big of a deal, but they still kind of kept the same thing of it holding the Mastodon's head as a shield. Mastodon. That came out wrong. And here's the thing. This is a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, but we don't know how they're going to actually handle it. If they're going to actually use if they're planning to make multiple movies, but I don't know if they're planning to use every single Megazord the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers had, or in a sense this is meant to be a conglomerate Megazord. Because if you look at certain aspects of it, it does seem similar to previous Megazords. Well, not previous Megazords, to the 3 Megazords that the Power Rangers had in the original. Like, for example, the fact that there's a separate Megazord making up the torso, and a separate Zord, not Megazord. A separate Zord making up the torso, and a separate Zord making up the abdomen area. You know, like the Ninja Megazord. Or that the pink is forming the head, which technically it was a white crane in Japanese, but they said it was the pink crane over here forming the head. And, it having wings, which is something that the Ninja Megazord also had. It has the crystal in the center of the chest, which is something that the Thunder Megazord had. And if I'm not mistaken, Black did form the legs of... Yeah, Black formed the leg of the... both legs of the Ninja Megazord, so it being the legs kind of was also working there. So, to me, it seems like what they're going for is mixing aspects of the 3 Megazords the original Mighty Morphin cast used together. Which kind of makes sense, depending on how they want to go. If they want to go, okay, we're going to have them switch out the Megazord... maybe 2 movies in or so to the Thunder Megazord, they could do that, but I don't see them doing that. I see maybe them eventually going to Zeo, but I don't really see them going, Dino Megazord, Thunder Megazord, Ninja Megazord. I don't really see that happening. It might happen, but that would probably mean they would have to stretch out the Mighty Morphin storyline over multiple movies. Or come up with original villains, because normally a movie ends on a concise note. A series doesn't, because a series has a continuous narrative, but a movie, unless they're, like Lord of the Rings or something like that, where each movie is a separate part of the whole story, which they might be doing, maybe. But unless it's like that, each movie has to be a concise thing onto itself. Maybe a sequel hook at the end, like maybe Rita's defeated and then Lord Zed arrives. That could happen. But here's the thing. I imagine the second movie is going to introduce the Green Ranger. That seems likely what they're going to do, is that movie 1 has the first 5, then movie 2 has the Green Ranger, maybe as the main villain. But in that case, they'd still need a villain for him to team up with them against at the end. So... to me, it just makes sense that maybe they're making a conglomerate Megazord of the first 3 Mighty Morphin Megazords to kind of make it more concise. Now, that doesn't mean we might not get a Thunder Megazord or a Ninja Megazord. Maybe we will. But to me, that seems what they're doing with some of the design choices that went into this. Or maybe they just decided to do their own thing. Now, as for my opinion of it, I personally don't have an issue with this. Is it the same as the original? No, but I can still see enough Megazord in there that I can say, okay, this kind of works. And for all we know, because we know the Rangers apparently will be evolving in some case throughout the film, maybe the Megazord's the same way. Maybe this is its first form, and it will gradually change into something more iconic as things go on. And also, I do like the wings. I like winged robots. To me, that's just really cool. And it does make sense. One thing I don't like, admittingly, is the face. I think it should have a face. I don't think it should just have a faceplate. Maybe in the movie, that's like a faceplate over the face. And it might even be in the toy, but we can't see it. That could be. I don't think it is, but it could be. But regardless, it's not the best design they could have gone with, but it has enough that I think this is a decent Megazord. I think it works as a Megazord. Maybe not as the original, but I can still see enough in it that I don't feel like, it's in name only. This still does feel like a Megazord, and I like that it's still composed of the same animals. So, overall, I'm going to want to see this in the movie before I make any final decision. We do know that Goldar will be the main monster of the movie. We know that apparently Rita is making Goldar, or reviving Goldar. Apparently that's the plot. At least that's what I've heard. So we will probably see a giant fight between the Megazord and Goldar, which will probably be cool. But personally, I'm just going to wait and see what they do before I make a decision on this. But at the moment, I rather like the design. Just, I can see why people might not like it. Anyway, that's my opinion. If you have the same opinion, a different opinion, so long as you're polite about it, say it in the description below. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time. Bye! I still don't have a catchphrase.